Tonight on CTV News, when World Cup soccer comes to town.
This is an incredibly unfair contract that is heavily weighted in favor of FIFA and against the taxpayers who are being left to pay the bills.
From road closures to business restrictions, details on what FIFA is demanding from the city and who could be left on the sidelines.
It is alleged that the individual threatened a flight instructor and then took control of the aircraft.
After a major security scare at YVR, Shahir Kasim is facing a serious criminal charge, hijacking. What police are saying about him.
When you're facing a particular opponent or a particular moment, you might have to shift some players to ensure that the skills that they bring to the table are meeting the moment.
Premier David Eby shuffles his cabinet. Who gets demoted and who is moved into key ministries?
This is CTV News with Me Jung Lee.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We are learning more about the demands FIFA is making on the city of Vancouver and taxpayers in order to host the World Cup next year. The details are finally becoming public, and they'll impact citizens and businesses alike. Our Penny Daflos took a look at the fine print.
The one-year countdown was weeks ago, and Vancouver's mayor was still tight-lipped about the deal the city signed with FIFA to host next year's World Cup.
That's part of the process. What I can tell you is we've had great lenses on it.
After years of appeals by journalist Bob Mack, and the host city agreement is now finally public.
It should not have taken an independent journalist 3 years worth of legal battles and court challenges to get this contract from the city of Vancouver, especially when it's substantively identical to those that we've already seen from other host cities like Seattle, like Toronto.
The 98-page document puts organizing, security, and liability squarely on the city. FIFA demands Vancouver be beautified in the areas around BC Place Stadium, and that advertising and logos of unofficial companies be covered up the day of and the day before the 7 matches, and some businesses may not be able to operate. Exactly which areas will be impacted around BC Place is still unclear. Not only that, police motorcades for teams and FIFA officials are the city's responsibility, and entire lanes may be shut down and dedicated to FIFA. Free office space for FIFA officials, free transit for ticket holders, and VIP treatment at the airport are all included in contractual requirements. All these measures are at Vancouver's expense.
This is an incredibly unfair contract that is heavily weighted in favor of FIFA and against the taxpayers who are being left to pay the bills. It removes most of the ability of the host city, Vancouver, to generate really any profit.
It's no wonder our former premier was lukewarm to the idea of the World Cup when bidding was still underway in 2018.
I have to make sure that taxpayers aren't on the hook for unknown costs at the whim of FIFA.
Horgan had reason to be concerned. The city of Vancouver agreed to FIFA's demands that they can change this agreement unilaterally and need FIFA's approval to talk about it publicly. Penny Daflos, CTV News, Vancouver.
To breaking news, a brush fire in Osoyoos was burning out of control for most of the afternoon today, and officials say it was sparked by a homeowner mowing their lawn. Mary Cranston is following this in the Breaking News Center. Mary, the fire is now under control?
Yes, crews are cleaning up, Mijung, but the fire did destroy at least one home today. Here is what it looked like earlier today. Heavy black smoke could be seen rising from a structure engulfed in flames. Mounties say the grass fire broke out at the Vinters RV site east of Osoyoos cottages at the north end of the lake. It was sparked by a lawnmower, like you said, in very dry conditions. Police say it then spread to a couple of vehicles and sadly destroyed one home. Everyone was able to get out safely. At its peak, the fire spread to 2.4 hectares in size. Police are being, are being asked to stay clear of the area while work is being done. Mijung.
Thank you for this update, Mary. CTV News has learned that the man charged with hijacking a small plane has had contact with police in the past. But the RCMP say there's no indication so far that he warned anyone about his intentions. St. John Alexander has more.
Mounties won't say what kind of contact they've had with 39-year-old Shahar Qasim, but confirm police have dealt with him in the past and did shed light on why he's now been charged with hijacking and terrorism offenses.
It is alleged that the individual threatened a flight instructor and then took control of the aircraft.
Airport sources say Qasim repeated dozens of times on Tuesday that he was an agent of Allah and that he had planned to shut down Vancouver's airspace for 5 hours to protest global warming. The tower sent out warnings to approaching aircraft.
The international has been shut down due to terrorist activity. Maintain 3000. What is your alternate?
We now know he was an experienced pilot who once flew for the now defunct Katy Air, where he was considered a good and smart employee. Still, air traffic controllers didn't know what his full intentions might be and diverted aircraft, some running low on fuel, as non-essential staff were evacuated from the tower.
We can hold for 0 time. We're at mid-fuel right now. We'll get you going towards Victoria then. You will be going to your alternate today. Turn left heading 170.
British Airways, known as Speedbird by controllers, was coming in for its daily flight from Gatwick.
Receiver 279 Victor, what is your alternate today? The international at Vancouver has been shut down.
Okay, we're looking at Seattle for the alternate. 279.
Qasim is an author, went to UVic, and his many postings online, blogs, Facebook pages, Twitter posts, sometimes under a different name, are at times religious and heavily focused on climate change. Within an hour of taking off from Victoria, he brought the plane down safely in Vancouver.
That it was resolved without loss of life, that it was resolved without more significant disruption is a testament to their skill.
This is why we train for these events, whether it's the police or our other partners, in aviation.
Although it's alleged he threatened a pilot to get hold of the Cessna, Mounties say no one was reported injured. St. Alexander, CTV News, Vancouver.
Less than a year after forming government, Premier David Eby has made moves in his cabinet, switching up ministers. Eby blames the U.S. trade war. CTV's Rob Buffum has more on who's in and who's out and what the opposition is saying.
Just over 8 months since he won the election, Premier David Eby is shuffling his cabinet, pointing to Trump's tariffs as a motivator.
The world has changed since we formed government. The threats from the president have not only escalated, but they have started to materialize.
Demoted, Gary Begg, gone as Public Safety Minister and Solicitor General, now Parliamentary Secretary of Surrey Infrastructure. George Chow out as Minister of Citizen Services, in as Parliamentary Secretary for the Downtown East Side and Chinatown.
Mr. Eby's had the opportunity to assess the performance of his cabinet, and he's making some adjustments here in the dog days of summer when people aren't paying attention.
There are 2 new faces. Jesse Sunner takes on the post-secondary portfolio, and Nina Krieger, a first-time MLA in Victoria, increasingly the epicenter of street disorder, replaces Begg in the high-profile role.
I have close working relationships with mayor, with councillors, and also with business owners and residents that feel all too often unsafe in our downtown core.
Ravi Kahlon shifts from housing to jobs minister, a move aligned with his existing file in charge of tariffs response.
The people who are going to face the impacts of those tariffs are working people on both sides of the border.
The shuffle included Christine Boyle, a newbie Vancouver MLA, assuming Kahlon's housing ministry. Diana Gibson moving to Citizen Services, Spencer Chandra Herbert becoming Indigenous Relations Minister, and Ann Kang is the new Tourism Minister.
It was bigger than what I think would be led to believe was going to happen.
The opposition wanted to see Health Minister Josie Osborne booted, noting the heat she's taken over the NDP's refusal to continue funding a drug relied upon by a young girl with a rare disease.
Healthcare having to be resolved by GoFundMe. And EB's response is to shuffle the chairs on the deck of a ferry they're buying from China.
Facing a trade war with the states, concerns about housing, street disorder, post-secondary funding, and hosting the World Cup in a year, these new ministers will all have a busy summer.
And Rob joins us live now from Victoria. Rob, there were some other roles announced today as well. Tell us about that.
That's right, Mijung. The total number of ministers and junior ministers and parliamentary secretaries of state, that number has not changed, although they did add a new title, junior minister title. Rick Glumac today was sworn in as Junior Minister of State for AI and Technologies, reflecting the growing importance of AI. Mijung.
Thank you, Rob. And as Rob mentioned, the NDP has been criticized for cutting funding for expensive medication for a little girl on Vancouver Island with a rare genetic condition. But tonight, there's a glimmer of hope for Charlie Pollock and her family. The Premier is hinting that the province could backpedal on its decision after receiving a damning letter from international experts. CTV's Brendan Strain has that story.
For Jory Fales, the mother of Charlie Pollock, today is a good day.
Today is the first day I feel like I can breathe since Charlie lost her funding.
At the Victoria General Hospital, Charlie received her first crowd-funded infusion of Brineura since the government officially denied her family, once again, to reverse its decision to cut her off of her treatments.
Just knowing that the vital medication is dripping into her brain right now, it's the best feeling. The hospital, there was cheers as we came in and everyone was just so happy to see us.
The province has been under intense criticism for months for its decision. Today, more pressure. A letter was sent to the Premier and Health Minister Josie Osborne, signed off by more than a dozen bat disease medical experts from around the world, condemning the situation.
I think we all have a fiduciary responsibility to call out when decisions are being made based on outdated science, based on science that we know isn't appropriate.
Andrew McFadden is the founder of the Isaac Foundation. His name is on that letter. It says the information penned in the letter isn't new. It was already presented to Osborne 2 weeks ago during a meeting in her office.
What's new is that we've all put our collective names behind this and need to make sure that we're following the appropriate evidence here.
It's a significant letter. I take it seriously. I know the minister does as well.
Today, the Premier offering another glimmer of hope to Charlie's family.
The minister is taking it to the committee, and she'll have more to say about this tomorrow.
I don't know if we can take any more bad news.
Vale says what her family has been put through over the past 6 months has been any parent's worst nightmare, and is once again holding out hope that the province will overturn its decision to defund Charlie's treatments.
Holding on to hope that we wake up tomorrow with the best news ever.
The community has raised enough money for 2 more treatments. Unless more is raised through a GoFundMe, Charlie will once again have to go without. Brendan Strain, CTV News, View Royal.
Now to a daring rescue in a remote mountainous area of northern BC. A hunter was seriously injured by the horse he was riding on in a rugged area nearly 200 kilometers from Fort Nelson. CTV's Michelle Bernaro has more on the military rescue operation and the challenges they faced.
What you're looking at is the infrared images taken over rugged terrain where an injured hunter was waiting for help.
We received a call approximately about 9 o'clock in the evening that a person was injured by a horse. It was 100 nautical miles west of Fort Nelson.
From the military's new Kingfisher aircraft, search and rescue technicians parachuted into the area Tuesday night. Look closely and you can see their parachutes floating down to the ground.
We had to take our time a little bit because the lighting conditions were low to set up and see if we were able to dispatch some jumpers.
Clouds broke, we had like a really good hole to get in there, and we got everything worked out for us. So we had the opportunity to jump and get down to that patient quickly.
The rescuers landed in a mountain meadow about a kilometer from the patient.
There wasn't really a path for them, so they just had to create their own path and beat through the bush. It took them about 35 minutes to get from where they landed to where the people were camping.
The injured hunter was in a remote canyon and crews spent the night with him before a helicopter arrived the next morning.
It was a really big place, but we managed to get him out of the area. We flew him on the Cormorant to Fort Nelson, and then we transferred him back onto the Kingfisher in Fort Nelson, and then flew him to Prince George.
The mission was carried out without the use of flares because they didn't want to risk sparking a wildfire. With warm weather, more people are spending time outdoors, and they're urged to take precautions.
The big message is just for people to be prepared. Bring a spot beacon or Garmin InReach, or make sure that your family or friends are aware of what your plans are, where you plan on going to.
So if you find yourself in trouble, help can get to you faster. Michelle Bernaro, CTV News, Vancouver.
Police confirmed they have arrested a man in connection with a violent altercation on a bike trail in Whistler last month. Video from a helmet camera captures the moment 3 young riders were confronted by a man in the park who then throws one of their bikes off a bridge. Vail Resorts, which owns Whistler, says the man has been suspended from the park. Police say he has been released with conditions and a date to appear in court, but that the investigation is ongoing. We see them zipping around everywhere. E-scooters have exploded in popularity. But the trend comes with a warning. As CTV's Martin McMahon reports, new data shows a big spike in hospitalizations linked to the scooters.
On a nice summer day in Vancouver, it's easy to see the appeal of riding an e-scooter. But new data from the Canadian Institute for Health Information shows a 32% year-over-year increase in e-scooter hospitalizations across the country.
It is a very big increase in a 1-year period. Our hope is that this will lead to more informed decisions.
The data comes after Lime recently expanded its shared e-scooter system in Vancouver. In a statement, Lime tells CTV News, safety is critical to the success of micromobility. We invest considerable time and resources in the safety of riders and non-riders alike. We're proud that 99.99% of rides globally end without a reported incident. In hospitals, doctors have been seeing more people coming in for injuries related to e-scooters.
There likely has been an increase in the number of injuries, just based on the fact that we know that more people are using them. So with the novelty of the device and more people using them, it does make logical sense that we would see more injuries.
E-scooter riders are being urged to do what they can to stay safe.
Using a helmet, riding on protected active transportation lanes if they're available, and watching your speed.
Given how fast e-scooters can go, the consequences can be incredibly serious. This picture of a collision from earlier this week in downtown Vancouver shared on social media. As for whether e-scooters are here to stay, that could depend on how things go. In Paris, that city had shared e-scooters for half a decade before banning them a couple of years ago. Martin McMahon, CTV News, Vancouver.
Political correctness is a good thing for a growing number of Canadians, according to a new poll. We'll explain. Also coming up, bad news for campers. A campfire ban is in effect in the middle of this stretch of hot weather. The penalties for breaking the ban when CTV News continues. Stay with us. A rock slide just west of Kamloops shut down a section of Highway 1 this afternoon. Photos from the scene show large boulders and smaller rocks scattered across the road. Drive BC says the slide shut down traffic in both directions between Watson Drive and Savona Access Road. Detours were put in place via Highways 5, 24, and 97C. A new poll finds the idea of being politically correct is gaining steam on both sides of the border. Vancouver-based Research Co. found the concept has increased in popularity among Canadians. CTV's Craig Krause has more on how everyone from ordinary Canadians to comedians are navigating this societal shift.
Your typical sounds of downtown Vancouver begin to shift once the sun sets.
Welcome to Comedy After Dark.
It's here where rumbles of laughter leak out onto the streets.
Popularity of comedy, is that growing in recent years? Oh yes, yeah, comedy's exploded.
Comedy After Dark plays host to dozens of comedians every week, and for Susie Rossum, she has watched the pendulum of material swing.
Well, it felt like it really went one way for a while, and it was very politically correct, but it's like, it's getting to a point where there's a lot more freedom, I think, to say what you think.
According to a new survey from Research Co., about a third of Canadians believe comedians should always or most of the time behave in a politically correct way.
You know, anybody that says words hurt has never been punched in the face.
Aside from comedians, the same poll shows the concept of political correctness is on the rise on both sides of the border.
Well, when we first asked about this question back in 2020, we actually had a larger proportion of Americans, 53%, who believed in the concept of a political correctness. And in Canada, we were at 50%. Last time we checked back in 2022, Canada went to 55%, and now it's at 59%.
Politically, the data shows 45% of Canadians who voted for the Conservatives in this year's federal election reject the concept of political correctness.
There's a significant chasm there that we just don't see with the Liberals or the New Democrats.
Some say political correctness has diminished too much, while others disagree.
I feel like where we are right now, it's like very dangerous.
I think we're just right. Although some may disagree what's politically correct or not, Rossum says hate has no room in society or comedy.
Be a risk taker, and I think that we need to do more of that in this life in general, not just in comedy. You know, people are so safe all the time.
Craig Crow, CTV News, Vancouver.
A campfire ban is now in effect on the South Coast amid a stretch of hot, dry weather. The BC Wildfire Service says the Category 1 fire ban is in place for all areas of the Coastal Fire Centre except Haida Gwaii. This includes the Lower Mainland, Vancouver Island, the Sunshine Coast, and other coastal areas as far north as Bella Coola. Category 1 is defined as a campfire half a metre wide by half a metre high. The Wildfire Service says it comes during a time of increased fire activity and warm weather.
As now we are going to be heading into the time of year when we're going to see more lightning-caused wildfires, which we can't do anything to control the start of.
The models are showing potential for some precipitation, but it doesn't look heavy by any means, you know, a few millimeters at the most, I would say, especially as you get further away from the water, you know, inland into the Fraser Valley, and then the surrounding mountain peaks might see a few more drops of rain, but it doesn't look like anything substantial.
Penalties for violating the ban range from a $1,000 ticket to $1 million fine or even jail time if your campfire sparks a wildfire. And Anne, we talked about earlier in the show how even like mowing your grass in Osoyoos, that can spark a wildfire.
Yeah, it's so very tinder dry out there, so be very careful. I'm glad these bans are in place. I'm a camper, but yes, safety first for sure. And it was another hot one today, and it continues to be that way as we head into tomorrow. So here's a look at temperatures across the Lower Mainland. 28 at the harbor. You're looking at 29 degrees in North Vancouver as well as in Burnaby. 30 degrees in Pitt Meadows, Surrey, and in Chilliwack. So as we head through the overnight, clear once again. We'll drop down to 16, and then clouds roll in for early tomorrow morning. We will see a line of showers, like barely any sprinkles, just before noon across the Lower Mainland. It doesn't last very long. It does clear up through the afternoon with a high of 22.
CTV Weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises, customizing dream vacations with unbelievable value. Call or learn more at expediacruises.ca.
So spotty showers at best for like maybe a half an hour tomorrow, and then it clears up, dries up, but cool down for the weekend. Those details coming up.
Yeah, the ground is still so dry. We need as much, well, you know, as much moisture as possible. Okay, thanks, Anne. Well, Canada will not be able to escape a recession, according to a new economic report. How many thousands of jobs could be lost? Also coming up.
Had people I've seen walk in or it's around town, there's a child that's got a rash, and it's just people are still going about their business.
The growing number of measles cases in Alberta, which are the hardest hit areas, and the challenge in changing people's attitudes to preventing the disease. That's ahead. Hundreds of thousands are expected to descend on the shores of English Bay Saturday for the first night of the Celebration of Light fireworks competition. Whether you'll be among them or trying to avoid the crowd, there is plenty to do in Metro Vancouver this weekend. We've got a full list on our website, ctvnewsvancouver.ca. Prime Minister Mark Carney met with First Nations leaders today to discuss their concerns over the controversial major projects legislation known as Bill C-5. The Building Canada Act gives Cabinet the power to sidestep existing laws and fast-track approvals for big energy and infrastructure projects deemed to be in the national interest. Today's summit was set up after the Liberal government faced major backlash from chiefs who said their rights were not respected in the rush to pass the legislation last month. When it wrapped, there was some cautious optimism.
The agenda was, I would say, abandoned to accommodate the speeches of the chiefs and the concerns of the chiefs, which I feel was a good move on the Prime Minister's part.
I'm glad that the Prime Minister and Cabinet Minister stayed all day.
The Prime Minister is next set to meet with Inuit leaders. The Assembly of First Nations Grand Chief is calling for another summit like this next year. As Canada ramps up its defense spending, a new report warns the economic bump won't be enough to save the country from a recession. Oxford Economics projects Canada will be in a trade war until the end of 2025 and that 140,000 jobs could be lost. The report shows that Canada's new defense spending commitments will raise the country's real GDP by 0.1 percentage point this year and next. But it won't be enough to reverse what the firm believes is an ongoing downturn.
Defense spending will help to offset some additional further negative impacts, but we do think the Canadian economy is already in a recession, and it will really take an early resolution of the trade war to get us out of that.
Oxford Economics expects a total decline of 0.8% in real GDP before the trade war is over. The firm also projects inflation to rise to 3% by mid-2026. Measles cases continue to grow in Alberta, and the South remains a hotspot. Of the 1,376 confirmed measles cases in Alberta, nearly 60% are in the South. That includes 22 of the 36 new cases reported today. A mix of religious beliefs, anti-vaccine sentiments, and misinformation is being blamed. A local pharmacist says despite efforts to educate, it's difficult to change people's perspectives or behavior.
Had people I've seen walk in or it's around town, there's a child that's got a rash, and it's just people are still going about their business. I think everyone knows where the lines have been drawn and realizes that sometimes it's you can push, but people aren't going to change their minds, so it's only so much you can do or say.
In his town of Taber, the latest provincial data shows only about 29% of children have received the recommended 2 vaccine doses by the age of 2. Pets can get very sick from inadvertently eating their owner's opioids. How a firefighter used naloxone to save a puppy. Also ahead.
I'm in shock. I'm devastated.
A landlord's nightmare. How tenants trashed her home and even left without all their pets. Her concern with how long it took to evict them. That's ahead. She thought she was renting to 3 university students and their mother. Instead, one PEI landlord says a dozen tenants and even more animals moved in. Now she's on the hook for tens of thousands in damage and sounding the alarm about how long it takes to resolve rental disputes when things go wrong. CTV's Maria Saru reports.
2 cats.
Kittens left behind after being bred in the bathroom, but that's not all coming out of the woodwork.
I'm in shock. I'm devastated. Seeing it being destroyed, not being able to do anything about it, it's very gutting.
Tamara DeVries is still discovering new damage after her former tenants were evicted Monday.
The kitchen is incredibly filthy. You can take a look at the fridge, the freezer. All the appliances are missing, cabinets are broken.
She thought there were 4. Instead, DeVries says 12 people, and at one point, 14 animals lived here. If it wasn't for the crown molding, this living room might be hard to recognize. In total, there's about $80,000 in damages DeVries says she's on the hook for. It took 5 months to evict the family. Hearings with the PEI Regulatory and Appeals Commission, known as IRAC, were postponed. Tenants appealed, and the process dragged out.
I don't feel any protection. Not only that, but there is no consequences for the damages caused.
In Ontario, the eviction process can take even longer, sometimes more than 7 months. By contrast, British Columbia has one of the fastest timelines, with tenants out usually within weeks. But here in PEI, the red tape is discouraging small landlords.
We've got a lot of good tenants, and it's difficult for them because properties are going to be taken off the market.
In a statement to CTV, IRAC said the timeline associated with the appeal process is dependent upon a number of factors, including complexity of the file. DeVries says for her, the damage is done. She's urging the province to make changes so others don't go through the same. Maria Saru, CTV News, New Glasgow, Prince Edward Island.
A firefighter just south of the border is marking a first by using Narcan to save a puppy. The firefighter was part of a team of first responders in Lacey, Washington, dispatched to a parking lot for a medical evaluation of a person under investigation. When they got there, he was told a dog in that person's car may have been exposed to opioids, so he grabbed a Narcan kit and jumped into action.
In this situation with this dog, since the nose was so small, I just used a little bit of the tip and a very small dose since it was a small puppy. In my total of 17 years as a career firefighter, this is a first.
After just a couple of minutes, the dog was back and being generous with licks. The firefighter is now waiting to hear the latest on the pup's status and whether its owner will face charges. 2 dog owners are speaking out after their service dogs weren't allowed on their flights. Why 2 different airlines refused the animals. Also ahead.
It took years to evolve into a woodland garden, and now it's evolving again.
Metro Vancouver's newest public garden has officially opened. A lifelong dream for a long-time Pitt Meadows woman has come true. How it will also feed the community. That's ahead. Service animals, of course, play an important role for people with disabilities. But for those who want to take a flight with a service dog, there is special documentation needed, or you won't be allowed on board. That story right after Anne's forecast. But first, a private garden that was carefully tended to by a Pitt Meadows woman for decades has now been turned into a public park.
It took years to evolve into a woodland garden, and now it's evolving again. The garden is now ready to welcome the Pitt Meadows community that Rose loved so much. This is exactly what Mom dreamed of.
Rose Grabenhorst, who died 5 years ago, dreamed of one day sharing her garden with the community. Her family worked closely with the city to bring that vision to life. The 5-acre garden off Harris Road features a community orchard, edible gardens, and meandering walking trails. At its heart is a designated place of remembrance for visitors to reflect and think of loved ones. And what a special legacy that she has left for the whole community. And I was reading, she planted 700 rhododendron bushes.
Oh my goodness, it looks absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to visit it. It is stunning. And yes, how lucky for all visitors to see her dream come to life. All right, let's take a look at a forecast. Another hot day today, which means hot spot in Canada once again in BC. Pemberton today saw a high of 34.8 degrees. The record set back in 2004 at 38.1 degrees. All thanks to this ridge of high pressure. It's still anchored there, but it is going to continue to weaken as we head into the next few days. So here's a look at our weather tracker. We do have a blip on the radar to show you. Clear right now, clear tonight. Through the overnight, we start to see increasing cloud coverage for your early morning commute. And then we see a line of showers move in just around noon. They don't last very long. It's not going to be a lot of rain, but it does pass through across the lower mainland. Everybody will see a sprinkle or two, and then it clears up quite nicely as we head into tomorrow night. Active weather once again for the central interior, your provincial forecast right at the bottom of your screen there. Increasing cloud coverage for Port Hardy tomorrow. You'll see some sunny breaks through the afternoon and 17 degrees. A mix of sun and cloud in 23s for Campbell River and Comox. That's what you can expect for Tofino, Port Alberni and Nanaimo, with sunny breaks for the Southern Gulf Islands and Victoria. For the Sunshine Coast, you'll see a mix of sun and cloud and 22 degrees. The Sea to Sky Highway, a few showers, sunny breaks as well. Temperatures between 22 and 24. And for us across the lower mainland, it won't be a lot of rain, sprinkles at best. Temperatures between 22 degrees near the water, 25 degrees inland, but it does clear up quite nicely. We'll see a lot of sunshine through tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. And then heading into Saturday, the cool down starts. postcards. We'll start off cloudy, clearing up with a high of 20 degrees. Clouds over on Sunday with a high of 21. Sunny breaks on Monday with a high of 23. And then it gets warmer once again, mostly sunny skies on Tuesday with temperatures between 23 and 27. Inland temperatures reach 28 degrees on Wednesday, and then Thursday back to seasonal and sunny skies and a high of 23. CTV weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises for air, land, and sea vacations. So some sprinkles. We need whatever we can get, but then, yeah, as you can see, dries up pretty quickly and then warms up once again next week.
At least it'll be a little cooler. I won't need to wear the wet socks.
Did you try them last night?
No, I was okay. I thought, okay, I can do without the wet socks, but if it gets hotter again, maybe I'll try them.
I think you should. It works. I've been told.
All right, I'll give it a try. Thanks, Anne.
You're welcome.
Two frustrated dog owners are speaking out after they say their service animals were not allowed to board flights with them despite completing online training programs. As CTV's Pat Foran reports, they were shocked to find out the courses are not recognized by two Canadian airlines.
I need Simon. Ian and Jeannie Holland of Bob Cajun were planning a dream trip to France. Ian has been with his service dog Simon for the past 7 years and says he helps him with several mental health issues he deals with on a daily basis. He helps me function. He means everything to me. He helps me navigate the day. To make sure Simon could go on their trip, the couple took online service dog training courses and got a note from their doctor saying Simon was required for a medical condition. But they were surprised when Air Canada said online certification wasn't good enough and Simon would have to stay home.
It's going to be difficult too because Ian hasn't been without Simon in the 7 years, not one day, not one night.
When we reached out to Air Canada, a spokesperson said, the customer used an online training company to certify a service dog. We do not recognize owner-trained dogs as properly certified.
He's been with me since day one.
Patrick Nguyen of Mississauga has undergone several serious operations and also has mental health issues. He has a trip planned for Vancouver this September and was going to take his service dog Noodle with him.
He does remind me to take my medications every day. He's everything to me. Like he's my baby. He's basically my son.
Nguyen also did online courses for service dog training, but Porter Airlines informed him it doesn't recognize the courses. A spokesperson told CTV News, a service dog is one that has been individually trained by an organization or person specializing in service dog training. Nguyen says the online training was good enough for other airlines, which allowed him to fly with Noodle as a service dog. He says without Noodle by his side, he'll cancel his trip.
I can't travel without my service dog. I cannot.
The Hollands decided to move forward with their trip to France without taking Simon, but had concerns about how it would go.
It just brings me to tears just to think that both of them will have to be without each other, and it breaks my heart.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
Caught on camera, Coldplay's Kiss Cam exposes an alleged affair. The video's still ahead. Plus, Alex's Rockets. Adam meets a 13-year-old with a plan to help kids learn through liftoff. Next on the Sawatsky Sign-Off. Right now, here's a preview of CTV Morning Live.
It's summer road trip season. How can you tell if your little ones are buckled up safely? Wednesday on CTV Morning Live, we'll turn to a child car seat expert to learn the right way to install car seats and boosters. Also, we'll learn more about the celebration of light shifting to an all-Canadian show as the Fireworks Festival kicks off this weekend. We'll see you in the morning.
News, weather, and traffic. It's everything you need. CTV Morning Live, weekdays 6 to 9.
Big news from the world of late-night television. CBS has announced it has canceled The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. The program, which is typically the highest rated in late night, will come to an end in May 2026. The news comes just 2 weeks after Paramount, the parent company of CBS, settled a lawsuit lodged by Donald Trump against CBS News. That created speculation over the future of Colbert, who has been one of Trump's biggest critics. CBS is calling it purely a financial decision. The Canucks traded a fan favorite to the Toronto Maple Leafs today. Dakota Joshua signed a 4-year, $13 million contract last year with the Canucks, just last year, but he will now play for the team that drafted him back in 2014. Joshua played just 57 games last season, missing the first few months as he recovered from surgery to treat testicular cancer. The Canucks receive just a 4th-round draft pick in return, so this move appears largely to be financially motivated. So did you guys hear about the whole Coldplay Kiss Cam scandal?
No, I didn't.
Okay, you'll
listen to this.
Yeah. Some concert goers stole the spotlight at Coldplay's show last night.
Yeah. Oh, look at these two. All right, come on. You're okay? Oh, what?
Singer Chris Martin called out this awkward kiss cam moment. It's not how you would expect a couple to react upon seeing themselves on the big screen. The woman covering her face and the man ducking out of the shot. Martin quips that they're either really shy or having an affair. Either way, they probably wish this video didn't have nearly millions of views.
Let's hope they're really shy.
No, apparently they're not.
So.
Yeah, more information has come to light with it.
Yeah, apparently he's married, so is she.
Yep.
But not to each other.
No, and they work for the same company. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a bit awkward.
All right, maybe an open relationship.
Okay, Mary, what's coming up tonight?
Mijang, we have great news, breaking news. The province has reinstated Charlie Pollock's treatment for her rare disease. This decision was made after the Ministry of Health received a letter from Batten disease experts internationally. We'll have more at 11:30. Also tonight, no swim advisories have been issued because of high E. coli levels at 5 beaches in the area so far. This includes Dunarave in West Van, Lions Bay, Sunset Beach, Third Beach, and Trout Lake. All of these beaches not suitable for swimming.
I would never want to swim in Trout Lake.
No.
No, but maybe your dogs. Don't put your dogs
Yeah,
in
there's a lot of goose poo there. Okay, well, it is not what you would expect to find in a garden in the middle of July. Adam meets a Victoria boy who's hoping to help others grow a passion for learning on the Sawatsky sign-off.
This is our normal garden.
His mom's garden, which is filled with flowers.
And then over here, we got the rocket garden.
His garden, Alex Rose points out, which is populated with prototypes.
SJ1, a little crispy.
Before the 13-year-old reveals how his rocket got roasted, his mom Amanda says the seeds of Alex's garden were planted when he taught himself how to code software at 7 and constructed his first AI-powered robot by 9.
He wants to be thinking out of the box and just finds a way to make his ideas happen.
After selling a few of those robots, which was part of the business plan he devised in middle school to build his own tech company, Alex invested the profits into making rockets.
Rocketry is hard. I made the mistake of thinking it would be easy. It's not.
Well, it's certainly not easy to teach kids, because a rocket's explosive propulsion is potentially dangerous.
Launching rockets was not really part of the curriculum, so he just came up with other ways to do it.
Which brings us back to the rocket garden's burnt bloom, which Alex did successfully launch without explosives before an overheated circuit board made it burst into flames.
It's a learning process, and every new one you make is better than the last one.
Undeterred, Alex created a new battery-powered system, built a mini jet-style propulsion engine, and coded an application to operate it all.
Most aerospace companies don't have a chair to launch their rockets, but
then again, most companies are not what Alex has named TORI, an acronym for the Teaching of Rockets Initiative.
most people don't have the money to fly out to Florida and watch the real rockets. So if we could bring smaller model rockets into schools, that would be amazing.
Once he's mastered how to make simple, safe rockets, Alex is planning to produce the components in his shed and share them with teachers across the region so other students can be inspired through learning hands-on.
If you solve a problem and you have the answer to this, why wouldn't you give that to someone else who's in need?
Because along with a big brain, Alex is cultivating an even bigger heart. Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Victoria.
Pretty smart boy.
Yeah, we have a lot of learning to do. We've got to go to his garden.
I know, but I love it when kids get so excited about their passion and they just put everything into it.
It's very sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully he becomes a rocket scientist when he grows up. All right, let's take a look at our scenic snapshot for tonight. Look at this, a stunning sunset in Powell River. Thanks, Yolanda, for sending this amazing photo in. And we want to see your scenic snapshot as well, so email us at scenicsnapshot@ctv.ca.
Beautiful. Yeah, I haven't been to Powell River for years.
Oh, their sunsets are amazing.
I've never been.
Yeah, it's a really cute community.
Yes.
All right, thanks for joining us. Mary's back tonight at 11:30.